It's hard to believe, but they will vote for her.
Now, just in case you had a little trouble hearing that because it was a bit low, I am going to read to you what the dear senator said to the president. The state where we're going downhill is Georgia. It's hard to believe that they will go for Herschel Walker. That is what Senator Chuck Schumer said to President Biden. It's hard to believe that they will go for Walker. What's hard to believe is that the Democrats really didn't do a whole lot in this case. We should have been talking more about the economy, the state of the economy and the suffering that people have and how our party is going to work to ameliorate that suffering. So I don't know if they're trying to keep up with appearances. However, we do have a problem. So according to an aggregate polling average compiled by the website 538, Georgia's incumbent Democratic Senator Ralph Warnock currently holds a slight 1.7% lead over Walker, the Republican nominee. Now, naturally, Schumer tried to play this off by saying, but our early turnout in Georgia is huge, huge. That's great, but you still have to finish the race. And President Joe Biden also tried to play this off on the hot mic by saying, Barack's heading down there tomorrow. I know they believe that the President Barack Obama is magic. I know they do, and that he's gonna be able to turn all this around in a matter of less than 2 weeks. I know they do believe that. Biden's referencing President Obama stumping for Senator Warnock and Stacey Abrams that the former president is coming there. You know, Ben, I'm old enough to remember how neoliberal Democrats worked so hard to destroy progressives as we ran for office, but they didn't have that same smoke for Republicans. And here we are in Georgia.
Yeah, no, 100%. And you see, like when Joe Biden got elected, you saw a lot of people talk about how he was gonna be the next FDR. But I feel like everybody forgot how FDR treated the midterms. During the midterms, during FDR's administration, we gotta remember this is a guy that won presidency 4 times in a row. He actively campaigned by, I know this is gonna be controversial, attacking Democrats who were not supportive enough of the New Deal and the progressive reforms that he was pushing. His strategy was to go after anybody that was not strong enough in support of his policies, to get people riled up and to get people excited for his policies. Because even though it took him a long time to get some of those policies passed, fundamentally, what people saw was a fighter, and they had somebody actually sit down and explain to them, these are the people that are standing in the way of change. These are the businesses and what they're doing in response to my policies. Going and sitting down and saying, hey, look, I know it seems like the recovery isn't going that well, but that's because these giant corporations are artificially inflating the economy to the point where they're trying to slow down these New Deal policies. It's these giant corporations doing this. And you see these Democrats over here that don't want to talk about that. That's because they are siding too much with these giant corporations. And that is how FDR won 4 terms as the president and literally got Democratic majorities to the point where he got to appoint 8 Supreme Court justices. That doesn't happen by accident. You can't just stumble into being FDR 2.0. You actually need to stand up for what you are promising with your campaign.
That's exactly right. And so much so they changed the rules of the game, being as we know, because of FDR. He absolutely, the President FDR definitely knew how to wield power and he knew how to stand up to his own party. And that is something that is sorely missing. I mean, you are treated like an outcast these days if you buck up against your own party. And that is why I believe that the neoliberal wing comes so hard at freedom fighting progressives, because I'm coming to note now that there's a difference between regular progressives and freedom fighting progressives. A lot is lacking right now. And the wild thing is that Democrats are raising more money right now than Republicans are. Right now in Georgia, Democratic Senator Ralph Warnock raised more than 26 million in the third quarter of the year. Walker said he raised 12 million. So we're coming to find out that money might not be able to buy you all the love that you need. Walker is being outspent. And this is not an incident on or indictment rather, on Senator Warnock, but more so an indictment on establishment leadership such as Senator Chuck Schumer. Instead of Senate, or not just the Senate, but instead of neoliberal Democrats spending a lot of time and money to defeat progressives in primaries, maybe, just maybe, they should have spent some of that money and some of that time and some of that attention on the great state of Georgia to ensure that Senator Warnock, who, by the way, is a great senator, so that he would not be in the situation that he is in right now. How about that? Instead of them spending so much time and money and effort to stop progressive Democrats, maybe that point that Ben raised with them spending money to help the craziest side of the right wing become the persons to run in the general against Democrats. Maybe if they wasn't wasting that kind of money, they could have invested time and treasure and talent in helping people like Reverend Senator Warnock. How about that, Ben? I'm over it. I'm just,
no, most
the more
definitely.
I think about it, the hotter I get, you know?
Yeah, because I mean, if we think about all the Senate races that are coming up, I bet most people would be able to name John Fetterman, and some people would be able to name Raphael Warnock. But what about all the other Senate campaigns across the country? I mean, seriously, like if you're president of the United States of America, you got Air Force One, right? You should be visiting every state in the country, all over the place, right? We're not even talking, this isn't FDR's like years, this isn't 1950. We can travel all over the place that we want. You could be on, TikTok, you could be on Twitter, you could be everywhere. And if Joe Biden doesn't have the energy for it, he's got plenty of staff that would be able to go all over the place. And so does Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi. They've got plenty of staff to do this, to actually be talking to people, to actually be pushing these issues. I mean, seriously, it's not that hard to stir people up and get people excited. But for whatever reason, it seems like the Democrats want to tinker with policies instead of like rallying people and getting people excited.
Yeah, that's it. So, and Dems need to get their messaging right, and they need to set their priorities. And Ben, I totally agree. Gas up the jet. Several times you could have gassed up that jet, or as you laid out, gassed up TikTok or something. But get out there among the people. Let's put up this headline: fearing a new shellacking. Democrats rush for economic message. Too little, too late. In the final stretch before the 2022 midterm elections, some Democrats are pushing for a new message that acknowledges the pain of rising prices. Are you kidding me? That should have been the message at the fore. Instead of treating the issue of abortion as if it was going to be the silver bullet, it is a part of a much larger rallying cry in this country, and abortion, access to it, which is part of a woman's reproductive health, no doubt. Also, access to abortion is also a part of an economic stream in this country. It's a pocketbook issue in this country. But the Democrats, the neoliberal Democrats, they didn't see it that way. They just said, wow, if we just keep pushing on abortion, baby, that's gonna do it. Meanwhile, back in the hood where people are misunderstood, whether they rural hoods, urban hoods, or suburban hoods, people are still trying to figure out how to pay for gas, eggs, butter, yeah, you name it. Pay for their rent, yeah, their mortgage, all of the things that people need to live a good life. But Democrats missed it. And now as the time ticks on, we are almost at November the 8th, and they are just not getting a clue. Time to figure it out, Chuck. Time to figure it out. Human rights are at stake. There's a lot on the line because these right wingers are extreme. Neo-fascism is a threat to our representative democracy, and it snuffs it out very quickly, much quicker than neoliberalism. So we gotta fight neo-fascism with all our might. Chuck, we need some help on that.